one thing reacting to something that comes out via a Twitter or somebody else angle of an event, but when you got 360 eye vision on something, it's up to you to take with it how you feel. You feel me? Just as a creator, you come into this thing wanting to be the best creator you can. And the only way I feel like this toxic situation could be told truthfully is to go to the games. You know, I just got to be honest. There's two sides to every story. Granted, us as fans is mad about the Fever and how they doing Caitlin Clark, but I wanted to see action.
There are a lot of questions surrounding what went down at the recent Indiana Fever game, particularly the situation involving Caitlin Clark during halftime, and what unfolded on the sidelines. Multiple narratives have been circulating since then, and several of them may need to be walked back. The storyline about the Fever organizations working against Caitlin Clark still holds weight for many observers. The dynamic between Clark and head coach Stephanie White, especially after the game against the Atlanta Dream, where the two appeared noticeably warm toward each other. Footage from that interaction has not yet been made public, but is to be part of a broader breakdown, rather than relying solely on angles captured by other accounts or articles written by sports journalists. Attending games in person, both away and in Indianapolis, offers something different. Seeing everything from the stands, watching how the offense is structured, observing what the coaching staff communicates during timeouts, paying attention to what gets drawn up on the clipboard. None of that comes through a Twitter clip. There has been a very damaging narrative building around this team, and the only real way to assess whether it holds up is to be physically present. The halftime video that circulated was reported on because it was a significant moment. There were fans and commentators questioning whether Clark was actually unwell, but the footage existed and it needed to be addressed.
But I wanted to see actually what happens during the game. How is this front office? I got to see Kelly, Amber, everybody. I got all the footage, guys. It's all going to come out. But what's more importantly, I wanted to see how the fans felt about Caitlin Clark being in Indy, how Caitlin Clark felt towards the fans in Indy, and how other players is perceived from the fans in Indy. See, it's a lot of fans when you covering Caitlin Clark. But something I noticed yesterday at the game was that a lot of these people are on.
Given everything that went on that week, it would be surprising if anyone came through it. What if some of these narratives are off? What if the relationship between Clark and Stephanie White is genuinely fine? What if the organization is not working against her and she is simply going through a rough stretch? That possibility deserves the same serious consideration as the alternatives. Rushing to conclusions based on a single clip or a podcast take is not the same as actually knowing what is happening inside that building. What attending the game made clear is that the fan base in Indianapolis is deeply, genuinely invested in Caitlin Clark. People were lined up trying to get near her, hoping for a moment of acknowledgement. One fan at the arena had multiple pairs of shoes signed by Clark, including the Kobe colorway Clark wore on court. She received Clark's Rookie of the Year signature sneaker the day after the award was won.
A lot of these people are on the damn internet. A lot of them fans that's in Indianapolis and stuff, they rocking with Caitlin, bro. They just is. I mean, people lining up to see her, try to get an autograph. I met a young lady that got Caitlin Clark signed autograph shoes last night. I interviewed her. I'm going to show the clip. I got a chance to see Raven Johnson, spoke to Raven Johnson off camera. And it's just so much stuff that happened. It changed my perspective of the Fever and of the team.
That fan had also met every single player on the roster, showing up to every home game, standing outside after wins and losses alike. What that fan described about Clark and her teammates went beyond basketball. The players moved through the crowd, stopped for fans, double back around the building just to greet people. There is no wall of security between them and the public. Players like Aisha Hines Allen are spoken about with the same level of genuine admiration. The connection between these athletes and the people who come out to support them is that does not come through on a screen. The Fever's front office allowing that kind of access, letting fans stand close, interact freely, feel part of what is being built, shifts the picture. It does not erase the questions about how Clark is being used on the floor, but it complicates the idea that everything surrounding her in Indianapolis is hostile territory. The plan going forward is to keep attending games and keep building a clearer picture, one grounded in what is actually observable, not in whatever the loudest voices online happen to be saying that week. Yesterday's matchup was a peculiar one.
Of the Fever and of the team. You know, it's one thing to sit here in a chair and report, but it's another thing to go out there and get boots on the ground. You know, I know a lot of people felt the type of way about the one video that I put out, but guys, I am a journalist. I got to report on what happened. That was a major story, Caitlin Clark halftime situation. We got to report on what happened. No one's seen what actually happened after, like once the game had went to halftime. That was the only thing I was trying to do. I'm trying to hurt Caitlin Clark or anything like that. I would never do that. But I wanted to give fans
a genuinely peculiar one. The standout performer for the Indiana Fever was Kelsey Mitchell. Through the first half, Mitchell was exceptional. She carried the team, built the advantage, and the Fever held on to it without wavering. But here's the truth of it. There was a specific stretch of play that completely flipped the script on what was happening out there. A stretch where Caitlin Clark, being exactly who she is, made the difference. The Fever had things well in hand at that stage. A lot of it built through Mitchell, full command of the game. Atlanta had nudged out somethings like a 6-2 run early, then pushed to 8-2 off injuries and offensive foul calls. And just like that, there was a contest again.
Like that, I would never do that. But I wanted to give fans actual footage because there was a lot of people saying that Caitlin Clark maybe wasn't hurt. But, I mean, maybe was not sick. But look at all the drama that took place this whole week. You'll be sick too. You'll be having messed up stuff too. Because just what if all of these narratives that is coming out isn't true? What if Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White really are cool? What if the Fever ain't trying to sabotage her? Caitlin's just going through a slump or whatever.
But the Fever went into the breakup 9. Then Atlanta pushed back. And one pulled it to 8. And from there, Atlanta kept building. Mo Billings was doing nothing of note. Then Clark stepped in. With all the energy tilting toward Atlanta, Clark knocked down a genuinely difficult shot. One of the tougher buckets she has converted against a physical defender. Everyone discusses how Paige struggles against Ryan Howard. Howard was even more aggressive against Clark, and Clark was matching that physicality right back.
Whatever. But that is something that we all got to put our brains to. That is something that we got to hold on to because there's always is that if factor. We can't just quickly go off what we're seeing on Twitter, what we're seeing other podcasters say. That's why I wanted to separate myself and go. And I'm going to continue to go to games because I want to see it through a bird's eye view. I want to see what is actually happening behind the scenes on doing a commercial break.
She kept pressing into Howard throughout the night. Clark owns that matchup. 7 wins, 1 loss against. Howard, the record speaks plainly. Atlanta then hit a pair of shots and grabbed the lead. Naz Hillman connected on a 3. Aaliyah turned it over, and suddenly every bit of momentum had shifted. Lexi Hull swatted Angel. Clark grabbed the defensive board and pushed coast to coast, spotted Aaliyah cutting to the basket, delivered the pass, and Aaliyah finished the tough layup. the lead changed hands.
To see what is actually happening behind the scenes on during a commercial break, how these offenses is being constructed, what Stephanie White is saying to these team during these timeouts, how she's writing on the clipboard. I wanted to pay attention to all of that because to me, there was a very, very nasty narrative being painted about the team. And I just wanted to see, was it real? Is this for real? Is this true? Is Stephanie White really sabotaging Caitlin Clark? It's one thing to get on this damn internet and say this and that, but it's another thing to go see for you.
The very next position, Clark knocked down a behind-the-back step-back pull-up to the left. Fluid in a way only one player in the league executes it. Worth noting, she has not been sharp on those step-backs this season, but defending them is still non-negotiable. When Sabrina Ionescu shot 29% from three the previous year, nobody left her open. When Maisha shot 27%, same story. The threat demands respect regardless of the percentages, because at key moments, it lands. This was one
for yourself and understand and bring the fans a different perspective. So be prepared for a lot of more perspective coming out, at least from my channel, with me showing you guys what has actually happened, not just reacting to a Twitter post from one angle of a situation, not just reacting to an article that come out based on what these journalists and news writers are saying. I want to go see. And in the process of me going to see, I got to meet an incredible fan.
Every Atlanta defender had tunnel vision on Clark, the Michael Jordan floor running effect. And Ryan Howard completely missed Kelsey Mitchell, cutting for a wide open layup. Topped called. The Fever went from having completely lost the thread of the game to holding a 6-point cushion. That was the turning point. Anyone watching understood it in real time. That sequence swung it. And none of that diminishes Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell was operating at a level of individual stubbornness that borders on chaotic. She was forcing shots and putting them in anyway.
And they had an 8-2 lead with that injuries, offensive fouls. Suddenly it's a game again. But if you're looking here, the Indiana Fever go into halftime. And they are up by 9. They then go up by, or Atlanta hit get an and 1. They then go up by 8. So all of a sudden, nothing happens after here. So you've got a big run for Atlanta. Mo Billings, fucking garbage. Caitlin Clark then does this. While there is...
she went rogue on 4 straight possessions. A step-back long 2, deep inside the arc off 11 dribbles. Then a pull-up 3 on the break, when an open layup was right there. Rough decision-making. And yet, over a long season, analytics level out. Across 44 games, the numbers normalize. But inside a single game, what decides things is individual brilliance. And this game came down to exactly that. 2 players operating above the system, winning it through sheer individual quality. Mitchell was better for longer stretches. Clark controlled the decisive window.
While all the momentum's gone to Atlanta, Caitlin Clark goes and hits this shot, which is tough. Like, that is tough. And that's one of the better shots Caitlin Clark's hit on a defender that is, again, everyone talks about how Paige can't do anything on Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard even more physical on Caitlin. Caitlin playing bully ball on Ryan. And throughout the game, Caitlin just kept bumping into Ryan. Caitlin has Ryan Howard's number. Like, people are like, oh, no, she doesn't. Ryan Howard's holding Caitlin to under averages. Yeah, but Caitlin's 7-1 against Ryan.
Even into the 4th, Mitchell was attempting some genuinely questionable shots and converting them. Clark also locked down Tierra McCowan to close the 3rd quarter, and there was a trap play at the end of the 2nd as well. The Fever's execution at the end of quarters was quietly impressive. Easy to overlook how sharp that was. When Clark had 4 defenders collapsing on her, it simply meant one of the best shooters in the league was standing open. Not shooting at her highest level this year, but still, that is a concession teams cannot afford. Clark drawing the foul. Raven Johnson hitting the dagger off a sharp pass from Mitchell. That was the sequence that sealed it. This was not a clean game.
But Caitlin's 7-1 against Ryan. 7-1. Caitlin has her number. But it's one of those things again where you've got that happening. And then all of a sudden, Atlanta hit a couple of shots and they get the lead. Naz Hillman hits a 3 and Aaliyah turns the ball over. So suddenly, you're looking at all the momentum. Every bit of momentum. Lexi Hull swats Angel. Caitlin Clark gets the rebound. And
this was not a system-winning game. Ugly start to finish. And in those kinds of games, the outcome belongs to whoever steps up and makes the big play. Raven made 1. Aaliyah made 1. Clark made several. Mitchell made several more. The Fever do not win this without regaining control. They had completely lost their footing.
And Caitlin Clark goes and does this. I can't show this too closely because this will be copyrighted if I do full screen. So Caitlin drives coast to coast off a defensive rebound, runs into the paint, sees Aaliyah cutting, gets it to Aaliyah, who makes a tough layup. But you expect Aaliyah to make that shot. That's to give them the lead. The next possession, Caitlin Clark goes and hits this. Like there's only one player that can hit that behind.
What brought it back was essentially a one-player run. Clark doing what Clark does, making the 3, playing with rhythm, finding the open pass, grabbing the defensive board and pushing the pace. Clark's rebounding is one of the most underrated catalysts for this team. The points per possession number off Clark rebounds has to be well above 1, notably above 1, because when Clark pulls down a board, everything that follows just clicks into place.
Like there's only one player that can hit that behind the back, step back to the left with that much fluidity. Like, and Caitlin's not shooting well on those step backs. She's actually not this year, but you still have to respect it. You absolutely still have to respect it. It's like, we all know Sabrina Ionescu shot 29% from 3 last year. No one's leaving her open. Marina Mabry shot 27% from 3 last year. No one's leaving her open. Like, this isn't the Stewie situation. You absolutely have to you absolutely have to you have to respect it because she can pull this off, and especially at a key time. 44-43, suddenly it's 47-43. The next possession, they run down. Aaliyah Boston gets a block. I think she blocked Angel, maybe? Caitlin runs the floor. The entire team is just so focused on Caitlin. This is the Jordan Canada running, oh, get her. With Caitlin running the floor. The entire team are running the floor. The entire team is just staring at Caitlin. That Ryan Howard misses Kelsey Mitchell for a wide open layup. All of a sudden, it's a timeout. The Indiana Fever go from completely out of control in this game. They've lost all control. All control. And suddenly, it's a 6-point game. And it just felt like that swung the game. It did. Anyone watching this game knows that it felt like that is the moment where, like, that's the moment where the game swung. That is absolutely the moment where the game swung right there. And yes, Kelsey Mitchell, let's not get it twisted. Like, Kelsey Mitchell going out of her way to put the team on her back. Like, she was putting a bullshit and it was going in. She was like, fuck all of our offense. She went rogue. People talk about Caitlin going rogue.